Well, hello. Welcome to Spindle City Straight Talk. I'm Chip,
And I'm CJ.
and it is Monday in the Riv. Uh, Hot. Everybody stay hydrated. It's
Yeah, there's a heat warning out starting at noon. Um, and the heat index, which is a combination of the temperature and the humidity, is going to be in the mid 90s. So be sure you're dressed appropriately and that you hydrate as much as possible. And if you can, stay indoors in air conditioning.
or as or stay undressed if you can. So the little clothes as possible. So, but stay hydrated. Don't do anything you really don't have to do, and so that's it. But the Monday, and I guess the pathological prevaricator Paul was on the radio again Saturday, and I guess he was asked about how much we've paid at Durfee, and he had no idea what the guy was talking about when he said principal and interest. And I guess the host Sue had to explain it to him when he goes, "Oh, no, now I got it." Like, now he got it, but he never gave an answer because he has no freaking idea. That's the problem.
Right.
He doesn't have any idea. They don't have it. They don't want us to know if they're only paying the principal and not paying the full. They're not paying. They're only paying the interest and not the full principal. Yeah, well, nobody gets to know anything, and that's going to change because there are going to be some complaints filed very shortly about this city and the fact that they don't decide to tell anybody anything. And then he said that the state prohibits them from telling you that on your tax bill, which we are checking. I know you're checking. I'm checking. I got to call into an expert legal counsel. You made a call to the state. We will confirm that, and if it is, we will expose that law, which flies in the face of the Constitution, which says that they have to be answerable to us at all times. It's our freaking money.
That's right. That's right.
It's our money. You're going to tell me the state's telling them that they don't have to tell us where they're spending our money or how they're spending our money? Oh, no, that is wrong. That is wrong. I have got case law up the wazoo that says that they have a fiduciary obligation to tell us everything. And Cass, and I quote, because it's quoted in that court opinion that I got from, none other than a very, very, mildly reputable place, the Cornell School of Law.
Oh boy, they're not reputable.
Yeah, just in case you don't know what Cornell is, if you watch that movie with Ryan O'Neal and Ali McGraw there, he went to Cornell, she went to Harvard. It is an Ivy League school. Cornell University Law. Legal opinion in their law library said that they have to cast, quote, a critical eye, unquote, means look deeply into the numbers, not just take other people's word for it, because they are our fiduciaries. But they don't do their freaking job. This is outrageous. Absolutely. They rob us blind, people. And you let them. Vote no on the debt exclusion. Vote no on everything and vote 90%. Vote virtually every city councilor out of office in 2 years and melt their phone lines between now and then. Okay? Because this is nuts. And now, CJ, tell us about how the city tried to bend you over and screw you this morning.
Well, I had a phone call from somebody that both you and I know, and she said that she wanted to know when she gets her water bill what rate they're going to use. So she called them, and I called them. The reception I got wasn't as good. But I asked very clearly, I said, if the water that I used in May, June are being billed in July, and you're telling me that the water from the previous quarter is being billed at the new rate. How can you do that? Well, it's our policy that we bill the rate based upon the date of your bill. So if your bill occurs on July 1st or later, we bill you at the new rate. I was like, well, that's ripoff. If you don't like it, move.
Which is going to be 23% higher.
That's right.
You know what that sounds like to me, CJ, and I will sign it. I'll be the second one to sign it. It sounds like a 10 taxpayer suit.
Yeah, it does.
Because I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not paying the July rate for water I used in May and June.
That's right.
I'm not going to pay it without going to court. I want a judge to tell me that I got to give these bozos 23% more because they held off on the billing, and I use that water, and they know that it's 23% higher. They're going to gouge every single citizen in Fall River on their water bill. So now, who broke the story? Spindle City Straight Talk. Brought to you by CJ Ferry, who was one of the first ones to realize he got screwed. Yay, CJ, let's hear it for CJ.
Here's the thing. As you know, I've been advocating for many years that the city should switch over to monthly billing on the water bills. Okay? Paul Furlan's excuse for not doing monthly billing is that it will raise the cost to bill for the water.
I'm surprised he didn't say it's too hard.
Yeah.
It's too hard.
And it would make it easier for a lot of our people on a fixed income to pay their water bill. Because when you're looking at the new water bill and you're looking at a 25% increase in your bill, or approximate 25% increase in your bill, you're looking at potentially another $100 a quarter in your that goes in the city's pocket. For some people, for me, it's about $125 for my water bill, and the city is just raking it in. I firmly believe, and the enterprise accounts were created by Bob Correa. All right, and I personally believe that the next mayor that comes in should do away with the enterprise accounts altogether. Just do away with them, including EMSs. I also hope that the next mayor that comes in turns around and says, we are not hiring EMTs alone anymore. They must be firefighter EMT or firefighter paramedics. It's time to switch over this fire department and this EMS into the 21st century.
Can't do that, CJ. Too many nice jobs he gave to his friends over there. They said when they went to Group 4 and they got all those pay raises that they were going to make it fire-based EMS. They never had any intention of doing that. He did the exact opposite. He actually took them completely away from the fire department.
That's right.
Started a whole new damn department, bought them all cars and all kinds of, had to repaint and buy new ambulance, repaint ambulance. I mean, he doesn't give a crap how much money he spends. But I saw Nelson speak, and I got to digress a little bit because you know me with politics. Nelson's done a lot of good work in his time, and I'm hoping that the report was an error, or that what he said was tongue-in-cheek. It has been reported to me that he was on We Suck It Radio touting the card of Kamala Harris and Gretchen Whitmer. Well, let me tell you something, Nelson. Your political stock will go down a lot if that's the card you're touting. Number one, even the Democrats don't want Kamala. The only reason Kamala was there was because of her color and her agenda, and everybody knew it. She's one of the dumbest people in the world. She's the only person in the country polling lower than Joe Biden. And Gretchen Whitmer? Gretchen Whitmer's husband was driving around in his speedboat on the Great Lakes while she locked down everybody in her state. I mean, these two bozos are the epitome of what everything the Democratic Party stands for. When are you going to wake up? I hope that was in tongue-in-cheek, because this is what Democrats do. Do as I say, not do. Everybody lock yourself in a house, but my husband will drive around on a speedboat. Lock yourself in your house, and Nancy Pelosi will go get her hair done. Lock yourself in a house, and Gavin Newsom will go to the French Laundry and have dinner with all his rich people from the pharmaceutical companies. You know, sometimes I wonder about the way people are wired. They just can't see what's in front of them. They just can't believe their lying eyes. These people are not for the regular people. You're a regular person. Kamala Harris, she polled less than 1% in her own state when she ran for the presidential nomination. That's why she dropped out. The only reason they're even considering her now is because they know they can't lose the black vote. And now the black activists in the Democratic Party are saying, you bypass her, you're losing the black vote. It's got nothing to do with the good of the people with the Democratic Party. It's what will keep them in power. They only want to win this election by any means. They don't care about people. They've already told you, shut up. They told you with Bernie Sanders. Shut up. I don't care if you want Bernie Sanders. The superdelegates and our rich donors want Hillary. Hillary's going to be the candidate. And who was the candidate? Now it's the same thing. They will pick who they have to pick, and they will only pick Kamala Harris and anybody else because they have to. Because Kamala Harris is a total disaster. She was the border czar. Nobody saw her. She didn't go to the border. She went to Central America. And she was never seen again since. Everything she touched turned to shit. She's an absolute incompetent. Plus, she can't even get along with her own staff. She's had most of her staff quit because they said she's a BIT, you know what. She won't study. They do homework for her. They prepare her for something. And she goes on there and she makes a fool out of herself. And she doesn't have dementia when she speaks. And then she blames the staff. These people are elitists who don't care about the regular people. But you're going to listen to the people who are promoting them. Al Sharpton, a guy who never had an honest job in his life. Most of the well-educated, politically astute black people have no use for him. He's nothing but a race baiter who makes a living off this stuff. These are the people that are inflaming things. The other bozo from Baltimore and the other bozo from South Carolina, they've been in office for 50 years, 40, 50 years. What have they done for their own communities? Nothing. But Democrats don't seem to get it. There's a lot of Republicans I got news for, but at least most of them have a semi-functional brain cell. I'm very, very disappointed. I was going to talk about this with you privately, but time ran out, and then you showed up. So but you know me, I'm going to call the balls and strikes the way I see them. I hope that was a tongue-in-cheek thing, because that is great. But you can vote for whoever the hell you want. That's the great thing about America, and it's also the worst thing. As a college professor once told me, America's greatest strength is also its greatest weakness. that you can look, you can examine candidates, you can look at their platforms, you can look at their performance, you can look at what they say, and then some idiot that they bought a chow mein sandwich for will cancel your vote out. That's why this country has deteriorated the way it has. They brainwashed these people to the point where they don't pay attention. So, but I'm not going to get into a discussion with that now. That's enough. I ranted. That nothing aggravates me more when I hear stuff like that and say like they be, you know, you want to say that you like them and they, you know, but say they're going to be a good ticket. This woman has no credibility at all. No credibility. She hasn't done one thing right as vice president, bought a czar, whatever czar they gave her, nothing, non-performance. She ran for president, less than 1% in her own state. In her own state. It's kind of like Fall River voters. What are they going to do with this debt override? They're going to make a special election knowing there'll be a very low turnout in the middle of the summer, and all their political hacks will march to the polls. And then people will bitch later on after you get the debt override and we get another bill that they won't tell us how much they're paying. And they're gonna mortgage your grandchildren, your great-grandchildren. 30 years kicking it down the road. And in 30 years, they'll rebond. I don't know. I'm getting frustrated. And the closer we get to the election, when I hear this, I'm going to be calling out all the time. Every time I hear this kind of lunacy, I'm going to go off because, you know, if you can make a case, a valid case for a candidate, I'll listen. I may not agree, but I'll listen. But I will no longer listen to people say, I'm going to vote for this absolute loser. This dud who's been in office and has never performed at anything she's ever done. When she was the Attorney General of California, she prosecuted more black people than white people. And she's running on a race car. She's never done well at anything she's ever done. But you're going to vote for her because you don't like the other guy. That's not a reason. That's not a reason, people. All of you out there. How can you explain to me, unless, and I'll make this one proviso, if you will sign an affidavit that you will hire a mechanic that never fixes your car, a plumber that will never fix your plumbing, and an electrician who will never fix your electricity and continue to bill you for all those things as he works on your car for 7 years and doesn't fix it, I'll say, okay, vote for who you want, because obviously you have a problem. But that's what you people do. The Democratic Party's campaign against Donald Trump is not about issues. It's not about the border, which is the most important thing. The most important things to the American public now: inflation, the border, the economy, crime. All of these things the Democrats are responsible for destroying. But they're not running on that. It's like, don't put Hitler in a White House. I don't give a damn who's in a White House, as long as they're taking care of me. I know one thing. Inflation rate was 1.4 when he left office. The border was the tightest it's ever been in history. They were tough on crime. We didn't have people roaming around, breaking into stores. Then we have to go, when you buy deodorant at CVS, you got to get a clerk. You got to get a clerk. They lock everything up. That's outrageous. And we got illegals murdering people all over the country, DUIing people, killing them with their vehicles, murdering, raping. Massachusetts, 15-year-old girl raped by a Haitian. $500 bail and out. And this sanctuary sewer refuses to turn him over to ICE to deport him or prosecute him. $500 bail for raping a 15-year-old girl. The only time that $500 bail would be good is if you were if that girl has a parent who will hunt that idiot down and lose him somewhere in a swamp, feed him to an alligator. This is sickening, sickening. And with that, CJ, I'm pissed off and I'm finished for now.
Well, you mentioned Biden, Kamala Harris. Over the weekend, the Democratic leadership met, and they had a conversation about whether or not Joe Biden should continue. And if he doesn't continue, who are they going to put in to that position? The Democratic pundits are all saying that Biden should stay in the race because they've got two issues. Number one, the money that his campaign has raised stays with him and Kamala Harris. So if they decide not to put Kamala Harris in for the presidential nominee, that money can't be used by anyone else. They can't just give it to somebody else. So they have a problem there. Plus, Joe Biden has said over and over and over again, I do not believe that I have a problem. I am going to stick this out. I'm going to win over Donald Trump. When he was asked to have a competency test, no, I have one every day that I get up. I will not have one. I don't need one. Even during his interview with George Stephanopoulos, there were a few times that he kind of stopped, got quiet, looked around like he was looking for some prompts. I don't know. There have been 5 Democrats which have come out and formally requested that Joe Biden step aside. They formally requested it. And he's not paying attention to it. And when he was asked if Nancy Pelosi, Adam Schiff, and other members of the senior Democratic leadership asked him to step aside, would he? He said they won't do that. They won't do that. How can you be sure they won't do that? Are you a prognosticator? Are you can you see the future? Are you a psychic? I don't know. I don't know what they're going to say.
But he does know what they're going to say because they're Democratic they're standard Democratic Party operatives. Listen, they put themselves in a box, and it's of their own doing. 3.5 years they've been hiding his infirmity, and it's gotten worse. I will be the first one to say he wasn't as bad 3.5 years ago.
No, he wasn't.
They hid him in the basement. He couldn't put together a coherent sentence when he got elected. Okay, he could read, but at least he could kind of read from a teleprompter, and he could at least maybe answer a couple of questions that were prearranged. Can't do that anymore. But the problem they have is they have no bench. Gavin Newsom's destroyed California. They can say, oh, yeah, but everybody will like his moose hair. So look what moose will do to your head. I used to use moose. See what happened? Look out, Gavin. No, I'm only kidding. But reality is that he's an absolute stiff. Whitmer, Hochul, Murphy, they got no bench. None of them can win. None of them can win. And Trump's probably the weakest person in the Republican Party they could run. He's got a record of performance, but people don't like him personally. But I mean, the Republican Party, whether you like them or not, has a great bench. They've got a great bench. Governor of North Dakota, governor of South Dakota, governor of Florida, governor. They got, Vivek Ramaswamy, brilliant people. People who've got a record of in their states of having unbelievable prosperity, even in this economy. They're doing well. And for an example of why I vote with my head, not with my heart, personally, I used to like Kristi Noem as a person. She seemed like a very, very genuine person. And she's done a phenomenal job in South Dakota. I will not take that away from her. It is a fact. If she ran for president against one of those Democrats, I would vote for her. But it would be grudgingly. I don't like her anymore, personally. She shot a dog because she couldn't handle the dog. She said the dog, there's no such thing as a bad dog. Anybody that's had dogs, and I've had dogs all my life, and Cesar Millan and all the rest of the dog trainers will tell you, there's no bad dogs, only bad owners. Shot a dog. I can't reconcile that fact. I could never look at her the same way again. And then she shot a goat too. And I'm an animal lover, so I don't believe that thing, because the goat was butting people or something. So, but I don't like her personally anymore. But she can do the freaking job. She's done it in South Dakota. Burgum, North Dakota. The guy's a bazillionaire. Wealthy guy, brilliant guy. North Dakota is even economically better than South Dakota. And boy, that's a feat. Because it's hard to get people to move to South Dakota or North Dakota. They're both beautiful states. Don't get me wrong. They are incredible. But the problem with those states are in the winter, you're living in Antarctica. I mean, it's horrific. I mean, if you go there in the spring and the summer and the early fall, you can ride a motorcycle around all those states up there, Montana, Wyoming. They're all gorgeous, big sky country. Beautiful, beautiful states. But damn, man, you got to be rich enough to have a place to be a snowbird and go somewhere where it's warm in the winter. Otherwise, you're going to be stuck in your house virtually all the time. Because, when it's 20 below, it's a heat wave over there in the winter. But, again, I would vote for Burgum. I would vote for Noem. I got nothing against Burgum, but like I said, she shot a dog. I got no use for her. But this, again, we get to the Democrats. The Democrats, you got a party that doesn't care about you, yet you are zealots. They turn you into mindless zealots, like they did with the Palestinian demonstrators who don't even know where the hell, couldn't find Palestine on a map for their own personal political advantage. I don't know. It's like, before the Democratic Party used to be kind of semi-normal, but every once in a while they go off the rails. And you remember this, CJ, because like me, you've been following politics your whole life. We remember what happened when they had McGovern and they ran McGovern. They went so far left, everybody just shut them down like they did in Europe now. Everybody's switching governments because they're sick and tired of these people. And it doesn't matter, liberals, whether conservatives went to liberals went to conservatives, but it was because their government was not functioning. Those labels don't really mean anything. But you see, the Democratic Party has always had this issue. They've always ended up gradually going so far left, they become, the people are just, even Democrats, moderate Democrats, end up not voting for them at some point. They get destroyed and then they move back toward the middle somewhere. Republicans have just the opposite problem. Every once in a while, they drift so far right that people go, no. No, I'm not in the John Birch Society. Sorry, but this is the whole problem. It's amazing. This country is on the verge, like this city is on the verge of bankruptcy, on the verge of being destroyed by reckless spending and a total disregard for the average person. Yet you got average people in these states voting for them. There's just, to me, no reasonable explanation for that except that they're just not thinking. With that, CJ, back to you.
I got to tell you, Chip, I had this conversation with somebody. If the city has a $26 million surplus, why did they ask the retirement board for a cut? They get $26 million extra. Why do they need a cut of $500,000?
Well, if
Makes
you
that
want me to
no
answer that
sense.
question, it's pretty easy. It's in the November 29th minutes of the retirement board meeting, and that is a public record. You can request those. That was part of the open meeting. So anybody out there that wants to request it can request it. In those minutes, the CFO clearly stated that the city basically was broke. She said that they can't afford the contracts, the Durfee debt override, or the upcoming debt. They were broke. They needed the money, and they were going to ask for concessions from everyone, and they didn't. The only concession they did, and they stole that at gunpoint by getting rid of the fifth member and threatening the fifth member. So they got some money from us, but they only did that. That $26 million is smoke and mirrors. You know that.
Right.
It's all smoke and mirrors. That stuff is, they know they got nothing, because that $26 million is not enough to pay the holes they're in from the contracts they previously settled. And on top of that, they've renegotiated new ones with no pay raises.
That's right.
So, look.
They're spending it before they even get it.
You know, there used to be an old saying, how can you tell if, a politician's lying, their lips are moving?
Yeah.
Now they have to revise that saying for Democrats. How can you tell that a politician's lying? He's a Democrat.
Interesting. Jeff, you had a question about Project 2025. I can give you a brief synopsis. I can research a little more for you, but Project 2025 was created or is being proposed by the Heritage Foundation, which is a conservative think tank. Okay? Project 2025 proposes that the entire federal bureaucracy, including independent agencies such as the Department of Justice, be placed under the direct presidential control, a controversial idea known as unitary executive theory. In practice, they would streamline decision-making, allowing the president to directly implement policies in a number of areas. This is one of the things they're calling about. It also controls immigration. It controls abortion and education. It's a big proposal. And I don't think any president, including Trump, is going to carry that out in full. I think that what's happening is a lot of the liberals are taking it to heart, and they're using things like the anti-abortion clause in it. Okay? They're thinking about the fact that the government already gives enough power to the president, and this would give the president more power. I have a problem with Project 2025, and I'm a conservative. Okay? I have a problem with it. Again, I'm conservative about what's mine. I'm liberal about,
what you want.
What I want. And I'm in the middle where I don't care.
No, I agree with you, CJ. Listen, we've always said on this show, and I have always said on this show that anything far either way, and like I said, I don't believe in labels. I mean, if you wanted to label me, you'd say I'm conservative I'm a fiscal conservative and a moderate to liberal on social issues. I believe that people who need help should be helped. I believe in equity, and I understand as someone who actually reads and understands. I believe in Hegel's theory of thesis, antithesis, and synthesis. I don't believe a society can ever function if you go radical in either direction. You're going to have a backlash. You have to find positions that the majority of people can live with. The 2025 project, and look, I get Twitter. That thing it's an absolute zoo. It's not Twitter, it's X, I know. But some of the stuff on that stuff is so bizarre, you can't believe it. The 2025 project, as like you say, is ultra conservative, right wing. That's their antithesis. They're saying the liberals are so far over here.
We're going to be so far over
We're going
here.
to be so far over there, understanding that any rational human being will find some middle ground. But on Twitter, they got people saying that everything about Biden now is a lie. He did 10,000 push-ups. He ran 6 marathons this weekend, and he's doing chin-ups. I mean, these people are wacky. It's talking points that they're given. And the problem is that it works because this younger generation, Generation Z and Generation X, they don't read. They don't do their homework. What they do is they live off what's on Twitter, X, and TikTok. That's where they get their news. They don't actually research anything. They take people's word. Influences. When I grew up, we didn't have influences. If somebody was trying to convince you to do something that you knew was wrong, when I grew up, they'd probably get punched in the mouth and they'd stop trying to influence people. But today, they pay people to do this. These people react to everything. I mean, this is nuts. We have government now that totally ignores the people. And I see Nelson Nines, he's looking forward to the council asking how much we pay. Look, they've had 3.5 years to tell us things. But they were accessories before, during, and after the fact. The fact is that they had it. How much we have paid out in lawsuits came up. They allowed it to be hidden again, which I believe is illegal. The tax bills have come up numerous times. No action. The mayor violated the city ordinances numerous times. Trash pickup tripled under his administration. They even sent him a resolution. He ignored it, and they didn't care. He gave his chief of staff a pay raise that they didn't approve, which was, in fact, an illegal pay raise because they didn't put it in ordinance. The city council didn't vote for that ordinance. But he gave it anyway, which makes every subsequent pay raise illegal because it's computed on a incorrect base. We have a city government that does exactly what our national government does. Joe Biden ignores the law. I don't care whether you agree with the Supreme Court or not, they're the Supreme Court. And they were right with that last opinion. But these radicals twist everything. They didn't say a president is absolute. Oh, if he declares it part of the job, you can't prosecute him. Bullshit. The opinion clearly stated, Roberts clarified and said, listen, there are certain things that are definitively part of a president's responsibilities. So he is immune. There are other things that fall into kind of a gray area. Those things have to be adjudicated. In other words, they have to go to court, which is fair. Then they have some things which were obviously not part of a president's duties, like send out a hit team to kill somebody you don't like. As much as most people would like to do that in some cases, you can't pretend that's part of your official duty as a president. That guy parked in my parking place during a snowstorm. SEAL Team 6. This is This is President Joe. Go kill him. Really? I mean, this is how bad it's gotten in this country. People believe this stuff. They don't read it. Read the damn opinion. Don't believe me. Read it. Even Democratic lawyers, with the exception of those talking heads that got to go, the only way they can get a paid gig on CNN is manipulate the truth and talk about their hypothesis. 98% of the people read that decision, said it was right on, constitutionally, it was right on the money. But this is what happens. And it's going to get worse. It's going to get worse because it's a campaign season. These people will flat out lie. You still got people saying Joe Biden is totally functional. I'll tell you what. He was offered by Stephanopoulos, who is a real Democratic tech. Like you said, CJ, take a con. Oh, no, I take one every day. Oh, I'm not going to take that. Just watching you. Well, we are watching you, but we can't watch you because when you walk to the aircraft, they surround you with people so they can't see your stiff gait walking like this. You know, they also trying to provide cover with camera angles so they won't see you tripping up the stairs. They call every time they get you on camera going, just forget about that. We, the people of the United States, and you know. It's all
Medicare.
All cheap fakes. I killed Medicare, which you did. That was actually an accurate statement. Freudian slip, but an actual statement. But you know, this is what they're going to say. They're going to say, don't believe what you say. We're going to hide him till the election, or we're going to send him out for prearranged conferences for 15 minutes, all shot full of Adderall or whatever. You're the medical guy. Whatever they shoot him up with to get him all jacked up like that. And he can talk for 15 minutes, and even then he bumbles and stumbles in the middle of a sentence. And he's got that blank stare, like, you know what I think about the Harris Whitman ticket?
Did I lose you, Chip?
Oh, I'm sorry. That was my imitation of Biden.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because I said, what do you think of the Harris Whitman ticket? And I did a Joe Biden, which is like,
okay, Joe.
Okay, that's it. Well, never mind. Let's get on to the next thing. But I mean, look, it's going to get worse. It's going to get worse, people. It's July. And every month we're getting closer. Some of the stuff that's going to come out on the media, but what did we say 14 years ago, 13 years ago? Do your homework. Follow the money, do your homework. You don't have to believe what we say. Most of the time we have proof of what we say. But then again, they're going to tell you the proof is a lie. You know, Joe Biden didn't fall. That was really funny. One of them actually said that he didn't fall up the stairs on Air Force One, that he was bending down to pick up some change that was on the steps. It was probably said as a joke, but the practice, that's how desperate they get. That's how inventive they can get with making excuses. But look, it gets down to one thing. If you want to vote for a president of the United States who has destroyed the country, or some other stand-in who's never done anything except destroy their state and Gavin Newsom, say, rather than somebody who actually was running the country pretty well by every standard. And just remember one thing. If you don't learn from history, you're doomed to repeat it. Remember, Richard Nixon got caught doing something wrong, just like Jazel Correa did. But now people are looking back at Nixon's presidency and saying, you know something? That guy was one of the best presidents we've ever had for foreign policy. Remember, he's the first person to reopen a dialogue with China. That man was one hell of a politician. Was he a little crooked? They all are. He got caught. The only difference between him and Lyndon Baines Johnson was he got caught with his. He got caught. But they're finding out that he actually was a pretty damn good president, one of the best of the 20th century, frankly, for getting things done. But nobody cares. Nobody cares. Everybody worries about, you got to like politicians. Sorry. Yeah, well, the thing is, you're not, when you stand up in front of the council, you are standing up for the people by being there and letting them listen. But the council has proven, beyond a shadow of a doubt, with the exception of consistently Michelle Dion, but once in a while a few others, but very rarely, that they don't care what anybody says. And now we'll find out again this coming Tuesday. They'll do what the mayor wants, probably. It'll be on the ballot. They'll have a special election. It'll go through and they will say, oh, the people have spoken. Yeah, 12,000, 14,000 people will turn out. 40,000 won't vote. And they'll say, see, this is what the people wanted. They manipulated the system, and it's the people's fault. In Europe, they came out and voted. They changed governments. Germany, they changed governments all over the place. France, England. You know what they did? Ironically enough, all those people who ran from Europe to come to this country and then started a country as a great experiment, and in the Declaration of Independence told you, when a government fails and ceases to work for you, remove it. Well, they must have read our Declaration of Independence and they followed what it said. When a government's not working for you, well, the Fall River government is not working for you. They're working for all the political ticks that are getting the pay raises, all the connected developers who are making money, and they're telling you, the taxpayer, screw it. And as a matter of fact, when you called the water department, didn't she tell you if you don't like the way they're building to move?
Move!
There you go. If that was me, I'll tell you what, like I said, it sounds to me like a 12 taxpayer suit. Now you're going to have me call. No, I'm not going to call. I'm going to call Michelle Dion, tell her to find out if they're going to do that. And then if she says, yeah, they're going to do that, I think we're going to initiate a 10 taxpayer suit. Because I'm sick and tired of the city council allowing this to happen. If the city council allows this to happen, we will file a 10 taxpayer suit. We will get 10 people with enough, with big enough cojones to sign a 10 taxpayer suit.
I hear you. I hear you. Look, move somewhere else. I remember that. Yeah, we've heard that before, haven't we? Haven't we? We've always heard that. Go move to Russia. There you go. They think we forget, but we don't. And finally, on social media, Mike Sylvia from Fall River Reporter created a group some time ago. It's got 55,000 people who follow the group and contribute regularly. That's like equal to the number of people that are registered to vote in Fall River. They all have an opinion on social media. All of them. Okay, alligator mouths connected to canary asses. But when it comes to going before the city council, they can't do it. Don't ask me why. Behind a keyboard, they're big and bad, but put them in front of the city council, they can't say anything. And it came up, and it was very clear, and it's very accurate. When you want to make a change with this city council, with any city council, you have to do it on force. You have to do it in numbers. You can't just have 5 or 6 people show up at the city council and say, no, 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 no. You have to get 20, 30, 40, 50 people show up. to say no. Look at what it took for the school committee to finally say we're going to remediate the green school. How many teachers did it take to show up? How many? The chamber was full. When the unions want their contracts approved, what happens? They send them out in force. They fill the entire chamber. When there's a question about the recall, what did they do? We filled the chamber and they listened. You have to get together, you have to organize, and you have to go before the city council and tell them, no, we will not have on our ballot a debt exclusion or Prop 2.5 override or whatever the hell you want to call it. We will have what the people want, not what this dictator wants. This is the end of it. It ends now. And all of you people on the city council, be on notice. Come the next election, you may all be gone. Stop representing me and the people. That's what you need to do. And you need to make that clear to them. Because if you don't, they're going to walk all over you like they've been doing for years. Why? Because they can. Because you don't care enough to have your voice heard. You don't care enough to go out and vote. You don't care enough to be serious about what bothers you. Don't think that you're a nuisance because you have a problem. You're not a nuisance. You're a taxpayer. You have a right to speak. And you have a right to make sure that they know.
Well, you're right, CJ. And I'll tell you what, you're right. He's got enough people to sway an election punching their keyboard, but they never show up at the polls. The reality is it always gets to the polls.
That's right.
And now maybe people will be fed up. Unfortunately, people have to be, that has to be DEFCON 5 before they do anything. They got to destroy their nation or their city. And I think we're at that point right now. So let's see what happens. Tuesday night's meeting. Let's see what
it's not this Tuesday. It's not tomorrow. It's next Tuesday.
Oh, good. I got another week to prepare. Great.
Yes, next Tuesday.
Oh, somebody told me.
And that's the only meeting in July. That is the only meeting in July.
Well, great. Because I will go to that meeting, and hopefully we'll get some other people from that watch our show to go there, and we can show them that we are paying attention, and we're sick of it, and we can talk about that. We'll have an answer about Paul lying about it can't be on the tax bill before then, and we'll also have an answer about whether they're going to bill us and see what the city council says about that. Maybe even put it on the agenda. So with that, CJ, I think we've had a pretty lively show today. But now we're going to get, you get me amped up when you start talking now. We're getting closer and closer to the election. So, my zero tolerance for political bullshit will be in full display from now in November. Not next Tuesday, the Tuesday after, right?
It's next Tuesday, a week tomorrow.
A week tomorrow. Yeah, it's not tomorrow. Yeah.
Not tomorrow, a week tomorrow. And I'm going to tell you something. You know how serious the fact that the debt exclusion is not being taken and being given to the taxpayer? As you know, I filed a complaint with the auditor's office over the weekend. This is how serious they took it. Over the weekend, they said, "Hi, CJ. Confirming receipt of your email. We'll be in touch with you soon. Best, Andrew. Andrew Carden, Director of Operations." Not some flunky. Not some flunky. So this shows you how serious it is. All right? So remember that. Remember that. And as soon as we get the results from the estate auditor's office and the Department of Local Services, we'll bring it to you. I want to thank you all for watching. And remember, stay safe, stay angry, and hold your politicians accountable. We'll see you on Wednesday. Have a great day and stay cool and hydrate.